What's up guys, my name's Brandon and today we're going to be doing a speed test between the iPhone 11 and the all-new 2020 iPhone SE. So the iPhone 11 was the cheapest iPhone in 2019, coming in at $699. But now in 2020, Apple launched the iPhone SE with a starting price of just $399. So in this video, we're going to see if the difference in speed is worth an additional $300 to you. And of course, there's more than just speed to consider with that additional $300, but still, we're only talking about speed in this video. So we're going to be testing the app launching speeds, the gaming, the web browsing, the Wi-Fi speeds, video exporting speeds, and more. And as always, before we get into the speed test, let's go ahead and lay out the specs for both devices to see what we're working with. So over here on the left, we have the iPhone 11, which has Apple's A13 Bionic chip and 4 gigabytes of RAM. Then we have the iPhone SE over here, which has that same A13 Bionic chip inside, but with 1 less gigabyte of RAM at 3. So in theory, this should be a very, very close speed test. But of course, we do have an additional gigabyte of RAM on the iPhone 11, so we'll see how that all plays out. So let's go ahead and start off with a boot up test. Let's go ahead and shut down both these devices and see which one can get to the lock screen first. All right, so both phones are completely shut down. Let's go ahead and boot them both up at the same time here in 3, 2, 1. Pressing and holding at the exact same time. And as always in these speed tests, it seems like the older device always wins the boot up test, but these both have the same chipset. But still, I'm going to go out and say that the iPhone 11 is going to win the boot up test just because for some reason it always happens that way in these speed tests. But we'll see which one gets to the lock screen first. And of course, we do have Touch ID versus Face ID as well. So the iPhone SE actually won and got to the lock screen before the iPhone 11 by just a few seconds. And then of course, getting into the actual iPhone is going to be a little bit different on both devices because we do have Face ID on the iPhone 11 and Touch ID on the iPhone SE. It's all about preference. To me personally, I like Face ID. It's a lot more secure as well, but Touch ID could be faster to get into the phone than Face ID. So just a matter of personal opinion there as far as which one you like better. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and start off this speed test with launching some applications that you probably use on a daily basis, like our social media apps. So we're going to start off with Twitter. Actually, let's make sure everything is closed out first just to confirm. So we did have settings open and nothing open on the iPhone 11. So now let's move on and go ahead and open up Twitter in 3, 2, 1. Press at the exact same time there. And it looked like the iPhone 11, so it looked actually even. So we saw that see what's live there at the top. So it looked like the iPhone SE actually launched the app first, but as far as loading in content, it looked to be a tie. So let's go ahead into Instagram, see if it's the same case here. And it looked like the iPhone SE actually won there because it loaded up all the content before the iPhone 11. So very interesting. Let's go into YouTube. And YouTube is going to load up first on the iPhone SE once again. So very interesting results here. Let's go ahead and open up Reddit in 3, 2, 1. And Reddit is going to launch first on the iPhone SE, again, by just like less than a second there, but it was more noticeable on Twitter and Instagram. Let's go into Amazon. Amazon's going to load up first on, look like the iPhone 11, just because we were not logged in, but still very close. Let's go into the Shortcuts app, and Shortcuts launched instantly on the iPhone 11 there. Let's go into Apple News. And that launched instantly on the iPhone 11, so another win there for the iPhone 11. Let's go into the App Store. App Store is going to launch first on the iPhone 11 once again. Let's go ahead over to the games section here. iPhone 11 loaded up first by a pretty decent margin there. Let's go to apps. Let's go to arcade. And you can see that the iPhone 11 is clearly faster than the iPhone SE in the App Store, and it looks like just in general in web-based content. So now let's move on to some gaming. So these both have the A13 Bionic chip inside, same GPU, same CPU, but we do have that additional gigabyte of RAM on the iPhone 11. That may or may not make a difference in gaming. Let's go ahead and find out. So we're going to go ahead and launch Call of Duty Mobile in 3, 2, 1. Press at the exact same time here. And it looks like the iPhone SE already, right off the bat, or the iPhone 11 rather, is off to a small lead. Very, very minor though. And we should be logged in on both devices as well. So we should get to the same screen. So here we go, loading still. iPhone 11 still with a very minor lead, but it's very close, of course, as expected with that same chipset. And yes, the iPhone 11, barely. Man, this actually could come down to the wire here. The iPhone SE could actually pull through and win this. But oh man, that was like super close. That was pretty much even. So it looked like the iPhone 11 was going to win by like a second, but in the end there, it looked like it was a tie. Maybe the iPhone 11 won, but it was very, very close. Let's go ahead into PUBG Mobile. Launched at the same time there. And this should be pretty much the same case. I would not expect a big difference in terms of gaming on both of these devices since we do have the same chipset. I would expect a difference in the RAM management section of the speed test. So the iPhone SE actually won there over the iPhone 11. Very interesting. And the frame rate and everything should be the exact same on both as well since we have that same chipset. If anything, the iPhone SE may be a little bit quicker just since it doesn't have as many pixels to push, but it should be about the same. Let's go ahead and launch Subway Surfers. Subway Surfers on both here is going to be very quick load time, and the iPhone SE beat the iPhone 11 once again. So now let's move on to a video exporting test using LumaFusion. So we just launched LumaFusion at the exact same time. Looked like the iPhone 11 loaded up first, but we do have the same video on the timeline here, and we are going to export this to see which one can export a 4K 30 video the fastest. All right, so you can see we are exporting at 4K 30, and then we have the video quality on quality, which is at 75 megabytes per second. Let's go ahead and hit export at the same time here in 3, 2, 1. Tapped at the exact same time there, and we'll see which one finishes exporting this video first. So as you can see, the video export test is extremely close as expected. We do have the same CPU and GPU after all, but you can see it looks like the iPhone 11 has a very, very slight lead over the iPhone SE in the video exporting. And you'll see right here, it's gonna come down to just a matter of less than a second. So milliseconds difference there in the video exporting test. So now we're gonna run a GeekBench test, and then after this, we're gonna do a RAM management test to see just how much of a difference that additional gigabyte of RAM on the iPhone 11 makes. All right, so you can see the Geekbench scores here are pretty close. So we have 1342 versus 1329 on the single core, and 2867 versus 2359 on the multi-core score. So I'm guessing that the big difference there is just because of that additional gigabyte of RAM on the iPhone 11, especially in terms of the multi-core score. So that's the difference, and you can see both are, of course, on 13.4.1. So now let's go ahead and do the RAM management test. So we're gonna go ahead and open up all the applications and see if we get any reloads on either one. So we got a reload actually there on Instagram for the iPhone 11 and not on the iPhone SE. So very interesting. Let's go into YouTube, nothing on YouTube. Let's go to Amazon. Same with Amazon, nothing new there. Shortcuts. No relaunch on either. Let's go to Reddit and then Reddit. No relaunch on either one there either. Go to LumaFusion. No relaunch in LumaFusion. Let's go on to the games now. Let's go back into Subway Surfers. No relaunch on either one there. Let's go to PUBG Mobile. PUBG Mobile had no relaunch on either one there either, which is pretty impressive. Call of Duty. And looks like the same there, just a little minor, not a full app relaunch, but looks like a reconnection there on both devices. Let's go to the App Store. Nothing changed in the App Store. Apple News, same thing, no relaunch there. So yeah, surprisingly, not really a big difference at all. If anything, it looked like the iPhone SE actually won the RAM management test, which is super interesting because it has a gigabyte less of RAM. So really not going to see much of a difference there in terms of RAM management going from the SE to the 11, or if you're going from the 11 to the SE, you're really not going to see any difference at all. All right, so now we're going to do a web browsing speed test. So we're going to go to, let's go to Product Hunt first. So let's go in 3, 2, 1. Look like Product Hunt loaded up first on the iPhone SE there over the iPhone 11. Let's go to Forbes. Let's go. Forbes.com loaded up pretty much the same, it looks like, on both devices. We got the ad first on the iPhone SE there. So if I had to give the edge to one, I'd give it to the iPhone SE. Let's go to ESPN.com next in 3, 2, 1. ESPN's gonna load up first on. Looks like the iPhone SE. Let's see if that ad loads in there. So yes, look like the iPhone SE, but just barely. And then lastly, we're gonna go to dailyiFix.com in 3, 2, 1. Press at the exact same time there. We'll see which one gets to my website first. A little bit slow to load, but looks like the iPhone SE is showing content and fully loading before the iPhone 11. So very interesting. Looks like the web browsing speed test is going to go to the iPhone SE, which I honestly did not expect. All right, so now we're going to move on to a Wi-Fi speed test to see if there's any difference at all in terms of Wi-Fi speed. So we're going to start off with the iPhone 11 here using a site called speedof.me to see what our download and upload speeds are. All right, so you can see we got a 41.87 download and a 44.73 upload on the iPhone 11, and I'm expecting pretty much the same on the iPhone SE since they have the same internals. But you can see there the download is a little bit lower at 38.45, and the upload is a little bit higher at 49.56, but you can probably credit that to the latency right there. So pretty null difference in terms of Wi-Fi speeds. I would not expect a difference in these two devices just in day-to-day usage. So that is the speed test between the iPhone 11 and the iPhone SE. I'm honestly shocked at how well the iPhone SE did. Now I know obviously they both have the same chipset and everything, but I expected with that additional gigabyte of RAM and just the fact that this is an iPhone 11, which is, $300 more, I expected, performance to be better than the iPhone SE in every category, especially the RAM management, but that wasn't the case in every test. So very interesting results there. I'm curious to know what you guys think about the speed test. Let me know who you think won and your overall thoughts on this. Do you have an iPhone SE? Do you have an iPhone 11? Are you going from one to the other? Let me know all those details and your thoughts overall down in the comment section below. You guys know I love responding down there and starting up conversations. And if you guys enjoyed the speed test, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you have any suggestions for future speed tests or any content here on the channel, I'm always open to that. So just go ahead and leave that as a comment down below. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching and I'll see you soon.